as celebrities shed light on the topic. Last week, Bruce Willis's wife, Emma, who has been his primary carer since his dementia diagnosis in 2023, spoke out following the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, pleading for more care to be given to caregivers. For more on this, Carers Australia CEO Annabelle Reid joins us now. Annabelle, there are currently around 3 million unpaid carers in Australia. What are some of the difficulties they face?
Thank you. Australia's 3 million carers contribute an astounding $77.9 billion worth of care annually, but they do pay the price themselves. So typical challenges for carers can include lowered well-being, senses of isolation, loneliness, and sometimes it feels like life is out of control. But also carers can experience lowered financial well-being as well. So it might be harder to participate in paid employment and juggle that with your caring responsibility. And that means that carers are often worse off financially with lowered lifetime earnings, less superannuation, and they're 3 times as likely as other Australians to be poor or very poor.
You mentioned those feelings of isolation. Another thing that can happen is carers can typically put their own health and needs last. How detrimental can that be?
That's very true, Angela, and it's often because carers sometimes can feel guilt that they're not doing enough for the person they care for, and they're often really invested in that person. It's usually a friend or loved one, but carers can also be caring out of duty or a sense of responsibility. And so the impacts can be, negative impacts on their physical health, where they don't have time to sometimes even eat or get proper meals in, sleep, drink enough water, get out, get exercise, get fresh air. Just imagine a carer who's up at night turning a loved one in bed every hour so they don't get bed sores, for example. It can be really exhausting. But there's a mental and cognitive emotional burden as well, as they're carrying worry about the person they care for, and sometimes other people don't understand the nature of the care. For example, with someone with really challenging behaviours, like caring for someone with dementia, there can be stigma associated with the role of the carer, and it can be really isolating and challenge their mental health.
The tragic deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa really brought some of the problems to life. Arakawa was Hackman's primary carer. She died 1 week before him in their home. What do you hope people can learn from this devastating case?
Look, it's a really sad story, and it's every carer's worst nightmare. But it just shows you that carers can be anyone. It can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter where you are in society. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Caring can be a real challenge, and it's isolating, and there often are not enough supports for carers. Things like respite care or the community coming around the carer to ensure they're okay too. So I hope this, gives us focus and puts some attention on what we can do to better support carers.
Bruce Willis's family has been praised too for being so open and honest about how his care and how, complicated and full-time his care needs to be. How much of a change will it make to hear stories like this?
I think it helps society, it helps our community to understand what's really involved with caring. We often underestimate the responsibility, and it's the little things. It might be just the logistics of transport, getting someone to specialist appointments, like their OT appointment, meeting with a medical health professional. Caring responsibility can take a lot of hours. On average, your primary carer spends about 36 hours a week caring. And for carers in some parts of Australia with harder access to services, it can be 100 hours a week. So if there's a carer in your workplace, for example, they're trying to juggle that with paid employment as well. So really shining a light on that story helps us think about what's involved with caring and how we can help.
So if we do know someone who is a primary carer, what can we all do to help?
I think it's really about listening first and foremost, acknowledging the caring role that they have. So some carers don't even think of themselves as carers. They simply think I'm a daughter or I'm a husband, and they consider the care they provide simply part of the relationship they have with the person they care for. So by helping a carer identify that they're a carer, they can be connected with support services, and that means that, you know, they get the support they need. So I think referring carers to the Carer Gateway or the National Carer Network, there's a carer organisation in every state and territory. There are services there to help carers, but also if you know a carer, maybe just offering to do a simple task for them, like a grocery shop, something like that can make a huge difference to their lives.
Annabelle Reid, thanks very much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.